Hi guys, welcome back to Iconic, the podcast with me, Lynda Stretton. I'm a transformational healer, a new paradigm business coach, and a marketing consultant for forward-thinking brands. And I'm really excited today to bring you this solo episode talking about the importance of crafting your customer experience to build an iconic business. Now, what I will say right from the start is there's no right or wrong customer experience. It's all about tapping into the feeling that you want to create for your ideal soulmate clients. So I think some of the examples I'll end up giving will naturally feel more geared towards a kind of more premium luxury experience because I've got a million Taurus placements. So like abundance and luxury and that sensuality, that kind of thing is like, it's a vibe for me. But you may be a brand who wants people to feel really like cash savvy. Like the feeling is, oh, like I just got the best deal. And I want to tell everyone that it's like, it just got like a best deal. So it may be a completely different feeling. So please don't take my examples as like you need to be doing all these things to make these really luxury experiences. I mean, I'll see what comes as I start to talk because as usual, I just channel what comes through the moment. So who knows what will come through. But yeah, don't feel like this is me saying your customer experience needs to be luxury and all about like abundance and all that kind of thing. It's about what feeling you want to create because the feeling then creates the memory. So, we all know about the high street brands that kind of do this really cheap clothing. And there used to be, I'm really hope it's moving away from this now, but I know 10, 15 years ago, it was like really great to have like got a deal at one of these high street stores that were really cheap. I'm not going to name names. They were just really cheap. And, you'd bundle like, I don't know, everything was like £3 or something. You came away and you'd got like 10 items for £30. And it was like, oh yeah, like I feel epic because I got all of this for this much money. And I'm a queen. I'm like the bargain hunting queen. And you create that memory, you create that feeling, and then you have a positive experience with that brand and want to go back again because of that feeling. So that feeling of like being savvy and like getting a great deal could be what's right for your brand. But the reason I wanted to talk about this, so I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. So when I talk about crafting a customer experience that creates the feelings that we want for our soulmate clients to feel so that we become this memorable brand, this is about every single touch point on the customer journey. So we call this customer journey mapping. When we do this as like a proper process, we customer journey mapping. We're looking at every single possible touch point where our customer could find us or interact with us. And we're thinking about the feeling we want them to experience in that moment. And then we create the experience associated with that moment. So we have overall feelings that we talked about in episode 2 of what feelings we want people to feel when they associate with our brand, which is then causing our soulmate aligned clients. That's the overall one. And then we want to be thinking about the micro moments, the micro feelings on that journey. So when someone, for example, first, if we say, right, okay, so for argument's sake, let's say you're a coach and someone comes across you first and foremost because somebody shared your Instagram post to their story and they've clicked on it because they liked like the little quote that was on your post and they come and find you. There'll be certain feelings you want them to feel when they land on your Instagram page. So, for me, I want women to feel activated, powerful, abundant, but also like safe and held. Like they feel like I've really got them in that space. Other people may be like, I want to feel like real sensual, feminine, a bit sexy, savvy, like feel like you're getting insider knowledge. Energized, that kind of thing. So anyway, we have these different feelings. So that's one customer touch point. They could find you on Instagram. They could find you on your own podcast. So it's like how you want them to feel when they're in that space. They could hear you on somebody else's podcast. How do you want someone's experience to be of you when you're speaking in someone else's podcast to be? And this is, a whole different story subject now. Is like making sure you're in aligned spaces to find your soulmate clients, not just saying yes to things because you feel like your ego had a little bit of a hit because someone invited you on a podcast. If they haven't got your aligned soulmate clients, if their energy isn't in alignment, if they're not going to allow you to speak into the message you want, and obviously you don't want to be investing your time, because our time and our energy are our most precious resources. So the different touch points: when they land on your website, when they receive your emails, when they experience your freebie, whatever that is, whether that's a free guided meditation, whether that's a free guide, PDF, that kind of thing, all these different experiences, so these different touch points. So what we want to be doing is mapping out your customer journey, all the different touch points where they could interact with your business, your brand, and the feeling that you want to get at each stage. And then that goes right up to the moment of purchase. So how you want to feel at that moment of purchase, whatever that process is. So again, if you're a coach, are you holding sales calls and converting people on sales calls, or are they self-leading themselves through application forms? What feeling do you want people to feel in those situations? So if you're holding a sales call, do you really want people to feel like pressured and under urgency to purchase in that moment? If you purchase now, then you're going to save this. If you sign up tomorrow, you're going to save this. I honestly have heard that taught. Like, try and convert people on the call and do the special discount if they sign up on that day, which is horrible. Because you don't want anyone buying from, do you want people feeling when they press purchase that they're buying from scarcity and fear? Or do you want them to purchase from expansion and excitement? That's just something I would say. So what is that point? If you're selling physical products on a website, you want them to have all the information that they need to make that decision. And again, you want them to purchase from expansion and excitement. You don't want them to purchase from like contraction, scarcity, offer ending in 3 minutes, buy it now, only one product left. These are all like bro marketing ways of getting conversion, but they make people buy out of an aligned state. So we need to be thinking about these different things. And then post-purchase, what happens next? So if you've got a physical product, how is it packaged? How is it delivered? What is the lead time? Are they getting free delivery? Are they paying for additional delivery? I've talked about like a journal example. So if they get a journal, is it just like a cheap journal and like kind of that's the brand, and it's like, oh, I got a great deal on this, and it comes in a padded envelope and that's it? Is it more of a luxury vibe? Is it like a whole experience in itself? Does it come in like a beautiful box wrapped in tissue paper? Do throw them in like a free pen as a surprise and delight thing? They don't know they're going to get it, and then they've got this beautiful pen as like a surprise and delight thing as well. Or like a handwritten love note from you where it's got that personal touch, and it's like, thank you so much. I am forever buying crystals. I'm obsessed with them. And the lady that I buy crystals from writes me a note, and then she like recognizes me and she'll be like, your crystal collection must be as big as mine now. Hope you're doing great. Hope this brings you abundance and prosperity, and that kind of thing, like really like beautiful personalized notes. And then that adds that beautiful experience of like, oh, like she knows me, like I love to go and buy from her again because I'm kind of on her radar. And I think I talked about this actually in episode 2 when I talked about like we always go to this like same pub because like they know us and the experience is amazing and the food is amazing, all different things. So that experience of like when you receive that. Now, like from a coaching perspective, again, it's like, what is the process when they're in your container? So are you making it as easy as possible for your client to access their calls, to access you. So, you know, what's the onboarding process? How does that feel? So I want my containers to feel like luxury and abundant, and to feel like expansive and things. So, you know, we have the contract and all that kind of thing that happens up front, but then, you know, I want them to fit it to be as easy as possible. So they get automated call reminders 24 hours before, and then 1 hour before to remind them of the time. And in that automation, there's Zoom links there. So it's like easy to access. And, you know, clear experience of, this is our Voxer container. This is when I'm available. This is when you can reach me. Send me messages outside of that time, but I'll be available within that time. So there's clear boundaries as well, so people know what to expect. So the experience isn't disappointing. If I was to say I'm available 7 days a week, 24/7, message me when you want, and then I decide to take the weekend off and they don't know, and then that just feels like icky, horrible experience. So it's like, oh, I know if I message on the weekend, I won't get a response. That's cool. I just want to drop this in while I can, because I know I heard back on Monday, for example. So mapping out your customer journey and every single touch point along the way, and then coming back to, you know, email, for example. So like I say, different experiences will have different feelings. It'll be like micro feelings, and then there'll be like the macro, like what's the overall feeling, but then other things will like pull in along the way. But for example, you know, you might be a coach, you may have a freebie of some sort that is your lead magnet, getting people onto an email list so that you can communicate with them. And you may decide that you really work with healing, transformational healing, for example, and that you really want people to feel safe in your container, knowing that you've been through what they are also going through at that time, so that your story is really important, because you want people to resonate with your story, knowing, oh, she's been through exactly what I've been through, and so I feel safe in her space. So in that, you know, you may bring people in via a lead magnet. So, you know, you may have like a meditation, for example, a healing meditation, and then your nurture sequence on the email is talking into your story on different parts. You know, you may have like 7 emails over 3 weeks, and it may be different parts of your story, or talking about client experiences, and then weaving in some education, you know, some educational posts as well. So it's not just all about you, but making sure that they feel your energy there. You may be more of like, you might be like a money mindset coach, for example, and similarly, you may be like, I was on rock bottom, I had nothing, I was on, you know, food banks, I slept in my car, all these different stuff. So like that kind of thing may be the same. It may be like really important that you're telling your story along the way and they feel connected to you. I'm just trying to think of a different example where you may not want to talk about your story, because obviously I'm just thinking about a lot of my clients, and I'm thinking the story is actually really important. But one of my previous clients, for example, ran a retreats business, and she focused on mums and giving mums like that, the importance of like mums having time to nurture themselves. So like they were retreats specifically for mums. She didn't talk about herself that much though. She was more constantly just sort of giving tips and advice of like how mums could like nourish themselves. So it could be a different process. But yeah, how do you want people to feel through the different things, and what is that overall experience you want to have? And the reason it's so important that we're thinking purposefully around the experience we want to have, and thinking about every touch point on that journey what we want people to feel, is so they then start to experience your brand how you want. So it's intentional rather than just all a bit accidental. It's like, well, I need to do some emails and I need to do this and that, and they don't experience what you want. And it's so important that we do craft an experience rather than just selling a product or a service, because it's the experience as a whole that gets people feeling and then remembering you and then wanting to come back. So as an example, we went away last weekend to an Airbnb, beautiful location, beautiful cottage. We created great memories on that weekend, and obviously I'm going to remember that weekend. But my memories are less about the place that we stayed, even though that formed a part of it because we hosted a party with lots of friends and that kind of thing. But what I felt was really missing from that experience was, because this cottage had cost like £1,000 for 3 nights. And it's like, that's like quite an investment. But my experience with it was, here's the welcome email. So you got a welcome email about a week before we went, or was it a few days before we went? Anyway, it's really close to the time. And this welcome email went, so glad you're staying, kind of thing. Just so you know, we don't really think you should come to the cottage to use Wi-Fi. So we've got a dongle, but we'd really rather you didn't use it. And we've got this beautiful, like, what type of oven was it? It was, what they called, range. They call a range? Not range, but you know the ones I mean, where they're wood-fired ovens. We've got one of those, which is obviously in all the pictures, and it like looks really beautiful. We don't suggest you bother using it for a weekend away because it's quite hard to get your head around. And it was like this all the way through this email. So I was already like going up to this going, okay, this is like a bit like, hang on, I've spent £1,000 to go to this beautiful cottage for the weekend. And you're kind of like, oh, we'd rather do this. We'd rather you don't do that. We'd rather you don't do that. And they'd also said, don't really think you should be here to be on the internet, which is fine. I would rather that was on the sales page personally, because it wasn't a great experience. Imagine if you were like, you decided to book yourself a cottage for 2 weeks to go away because you were a writer and you needed to do research and use the internet, and you were like, you'd created that and then you went to that space. It's like, we don't think you should use the internet here. And it's like, well, I've come for 2 weeks purely to like do a load of work, or I could go away to just like pump out a course that went to create. Anyway, not a great experience. And then the other thing was like, don't think you should use the internet. So we've got loads of DVDs there that you can watch. Well, we got there and they did have some DVDs, I would say maybe 15, but they had the smallest TV in the world. And we don't have a huge TV by any stretch of the imagination, but we're literally talking laptop size in the living room. And it was like, do you really want to sit here and watch this film? Like, it's not like a cinematic experience by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, there were little things. And I was reflecting on my arrival to it. And what I think is like a beautiful touch when you have these sort of experiences is like having a handwritten welcome note when you arrive. It's like, so glad to have you here. So excited, blah, blah. Here's a bottle of Prosecco and a beautiful local cake that's from the local village shop. Because the other thing was like advising that please can you use the local village shop, which again, I'm all for. And it'd be nice to have just something there as like, oh, this is from the local village shop. So there's just those little touches, maybe some fresh flowers that because it was a country, an English country, sorry, it's Welsh country cottage. It's like, can you imagine like some beautiful smelling flowers when they're really fresh when you just walked in the day, like just little touch. It didn't have to be all of those things, but just something. It's like when I landed there, I had this experience, because when I think about places that I've stayed, the ones I remember the most is when we were in Sri Lanka and they'd done like towels on the end of the bed in the shape of a swan. Like I always remember that. Or when we got married in St. Lucia, just myself and my husband went, and we just sort of had wedding and honeymoon all at the same time. And like there was a bottle of champagne with champagne glasses as like a note, like, welcoming. I mean, clearly we were getting married, so we were getting extra special care and attention, but it was like, here's your champagne and these are your champagne glasses to keep and take back with you and as like a memory. Like these little gift things really make a difference to the experience. So that would be one example. It's like, that experience when you like in that moment. So it's obviously, Airbnb, great, gives us lots of choice. I feel like I've made a savvy decision. I've got a beautiful place. Price is good for what I'm getting. Airbnb, tick. I'll give you a nice review. You gave me lots of reminder emails. It's great. But then the actual experience when I landed at the property probably wasn't something that blew my mind. And in the days leading up, was a bit like, this is a strange tone of voice. So that would be that. another experience I actually had this year was I invested in a program at the start of the year. I didn't ride my emotional wave before purchasing it, so a lot of this is my fault anyway, but I purchased it. I rode my emotional wave, decided I didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, oh, that was a bad decision. Actually messaged them. They ignored me for like 2 weeks. So then I messaged them again saying, don't worry about this. I'm here. I'll be part of it. And then funnily enough, they replied on the same day going, brilliant, great to hear, kind of thing. But that was a whole experience in itself. But yeah, I'd invested in this program. And from day one, it was chaotic, messy, horrible experience. The website was like hard, where the videos were hosted were like hard to navigate. Like it wasn't weird headings that weren't clear what was under each. And it wasn't like updated month by month or week by week. It was like you had different categories and things would drop into different categories on different days. So you didn't know which area had a new video to go and watch. And then it logged you out every single time you'd watched a video. So then you had to like log back in. And the schedule that was promised at the start wasn't adhered to. And the whole thing was just like, this is hard work. And despite how valuable the trainings might be, they are, as a projector, they are not worth my time and energy to log in, get kicked out, go into a video, realize I've already watched it, try and watch a different video, find out I've been logged out, need to log back in. Do you know what I mean? It was just horrible. And so that for me, you know, as a coach mentor, you don't want to be creating that experience for your clients, because your program is only as good as the experience people get from it and the transformations they make, and the client needs to do the work for that. So you create the content, the client needs to lead themselves through it 100%. But if the experience is so bad the client doesn't want to lead themselves through it, then there is something wrong with the experience. So making things really easy, you know, it's the reason why I love, you know, places like Teachable and Kajabi and stuff like that, where you know, it ticks off what you've already watched, you know how far along you are in it, you're not having to like keep going in and out and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that was another customer experience. It's like, wouldn't buy from this person again, because it's a chaotic experience when I'm in their space. Despite them being incredible at what they do, it's like chaos isn't the thing for me. Now, other people loved it, absolutely love it, love the chaos, love everything about them. So by the way, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with this person, but I'm not a soul aligned client for them, and I shouldn't be in their space doing their things. Yeah, that was all I was going to say on that, I think. So is there any other examples I wanted to give? So I get, hopefully you're getting a feeling now. So the different experience we want to have, how do we want people to feel? How can each customer touch point, from when they first find you to when they make their purchase to when they journey with you and beyond, you know, even when their journey's ended, how do you stay in touch with them? How do you keep them updated about what they can do next? All those different things. How is that approach? Are you doing it from a place of like scarcity and fear versus expansion, abundance, etc.? And this is something, I should have said this actually at the start, like this is something that I take clients through, customer journey mapping, where we look at your whole customer experience, every single product, every single offer, every single touch point, whether you're an online business or an offline business, whether you are a coach or a product. We do that in the VIP days, the huge part of the VIP days. And we also do it in Fierce Feminine Ascension, and I'm doing it in the Becoming, which is potentially, by the time you listen to this, not available anymore, but may come back in 2023. But yeah, in all these, this journey is so important, because when we want to create an iconic business that has people coming back and sharing word of mouth, which is one of the most powerful things that you'll ever use in your business, that was actually another thing I want to say. Within the vast majority of businesses, 80% of sales come from 20% of your customers. So whatever industry you're in, 80% of your sales are coming from 20% of your customers. So having incredible customer experiences, again, not saying these have to be like luxury experiences. This is all dependent on your brand, what you offer, all the different things. If you're someone that like wants to show that you know people really deeply, then everything about your journey is like showing that you see people really deeply, for example. If you want people to keep coming back and be in a stage where they buy anything you put out there, that's all linked to the experience as well. So I can't remember if I've spoken to you on here, but when I pivoted my business, many people would say, oh, start a new Instagram account because your audience are all here for fertility and business coaching. Like, how does that even link? It's not going to make any sense. Again, 80% of my clients, my one-to-one clients, are people who have either worked with me one-to-one, firstly with nutrition, or have done my online fertility program. Because despite the fact I'm in a completely different niche now, they just loved being in my energy. They loved the way I taught. If I was working them one-to-one, they loved the way I held the space for them and all the different things. And ultimately it came down to a feeling. So actually, despite like the fact that I'm now in a different niche, I'm business rather than fertility, how I want people to feel hasn't changed. Someone that had been on a 5-year fertility journey and had 14 miscarriages, I wanted them to feel powerful, activated, and cared for. Like all the same sorts of feelings that I want people to feel when they're in a business coaching container with me, because that's who I am, and that's, you know, it is what it is. So yeah, 80%. So it's about, and we call this like growing the core, like really looking at, and this is one of the reasons why you kind of, I don't recommend anyone gets obsessed with like growing their audience. Great. And absolutely, yeah, you know, in theory, we grow our audience, we reach more people, we bring more people in. Yes, we want to do that, but not at the expense of really looking after our current like client base, and really ensuring they have an incredible experience and they feel like really like cared for and nurtured, or whatever the feelings are that you want. But you know what I mean, they're not at the expense of them having an incredible experience, because that is how ultimately you're going to drive the word of mouth and the growth and the repeat purchases. So it gets to a stage of, you know, next year I've got so many programs coming out. I've got like a whole year of programs, everything from like money mindset to adrenal fatigue, like burnout programs, because it'd be a mixture of like health and business stuff, to, and so much more. There's so many, to confidence and self-worth. Like there's so many programs, and it's like, I know I'll have people that buy every single program throughout the year, or buy the bundle, because there'll be like a bundle available where people can buy into absolutely everything for a significant cost saving. My one-to-one clients will also get access to all of this, by the way. If you're a one-to-one client listening, it's like, yeah, you'll get free access to all of the programs. But yeah, I know that even if someone's coming into me as like a fertility client, that they'll want to buy it all because they just like love being in my energy. So if I'm talking about manifestation, they'll want to learn about manifestation from me. If you want to learn about like money mindset and wealth energetics, they'll want to learn about that, etc. So yeah, super important. Craft an incredible customer experience by being really clear on your customer journey, all the different touch points, exactly how they want to feel at each point, how they want to feel overall, and then how you want them to feel at the micro moments. And that's ultimately what's going to create the results and the iconic business that you want. So I think I'll keep it there. I don't know how long I've been talking for. I should have checked the clock first. I hope that was valuable. I hope it's got you thinking differently. This is my intention with these podcasts, is it just gets you sort of thinking differently. Obviously, you know, giving the solutions, working really closely one-to-one with someone is what happens in my one-to-one containers. But these podcasts are really about transmissions to get you thinking differently, thinking about different things. and hopefully, yeah, just focus a bit of attention in on the biz. So thank you so much for listening as always. If you enjoyed it, please give it a share, give me a tag on your stories so that I see what you say, because I love to hear what you're taking away from it. Please do leave a rating and review. That really helps to work the algorithm so we can reach more people. If you're here on YouTube, give it a follow and all the different things. So grateful for you for being here and sending so much love. And I'm going to see you back here really soon.